Okay, guys, I'm back with a another news-related video. This one will be the last one right now because I kind of want to take a break from talking about this stuff. There is another one I want to talk about later about Twitter and /X and all that, but that one I'll talk about later because I kind of want to do some more reviews for you guys and all that, but I really wanted to, get some of these out of the way. And this one is one of them that actually did pop up a few, I think I've heard about it yesterday that this was announced, but apparently Disney is now going to be laying off more people. They're going to be laying off more people. And I kind of want to talk about my thoughts on that and whatnot. If you guys haven't already, please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. You guys can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow me over there. Because, speaking of Twitter, you can follow me over there. Also, trying to think if there was anything else. Oh yeah, I was going to say too, I also have a DaVinci art thing too, That's for an older audience, so that will be for people to, if people want something for me to kind of draw, I'll try to draw it. I've talked about before that I don't know if it'll last, but I figured I'll probably go ahead and do that too, just for right now, maybe I can make some money off my art, maybe sell some to you guys, I don't know, but that's so far something I don't know if I'll do forever or not. I don't know, because I personally don't care for making that kind of stuff, but I make it for other people, so I don't know. But that said, though, without any further ado, let's talk about this. So, the Walt Disney Company, as we know it, has been struggling for quite a while. Even if they don't want to admit it or try to hide it, we can clearly see that they're struggling because, their stock is down and all that. It's gone up a little bit, but it's not nearly as much as it was. It's been going down. It's been going up to the hundreds, and then it's been dropping, magically to the 90s and all that. And by magically, I mean, somehow I said their stock goes up a lot and then it drops. So, there's something going on, I feel like, there. And then, their streaming's not doing as well as they thought it was. And, they're not really admitting it. Actually, I think they are starting to admit it, but, they're still not going to probably admit that, Disney Plus was a big mistake, but they probably will eventually admit it, but, so what's happening is, Disney, like I said, is they're laying off more employees from their company because, they're spending so much money on, content, streaming and all that, and that's what I mean, by omitting it. They're omitting Bob Iger's admitting that I think they're spending a little too much on streaming, but of course, he's not going to admit that, it's a failure. Because, again, Bob Iger is a stubborn guy, and, he doesn't, like I said, he doesn't really, he has his head in his ass all the time, and puts the blame on other people. People are still out there, especially in the company, I think, trying to blame Chapek for this shit. Because, Chapek did spend a lot of money on, overspent stuff on animation, for their content and all that. But the thing is, though, is Iger also overspent on Fox and also Maker Studios and all that. All this unnecessary crap, which is kind of biting them in the ass. And they even acquired Hulu, which I'm just I'm like, why do they need to buy Hulu? If they have Disney Plus, why the hell do they need to buy Hulu? I don't understand that, I mean, if they didn't have a platform beforehand and they just had their content on Hulu and then basically, eventually acquired all of Hulu and then, turn it into Disney Plus, I can understand that. Like, I still wouldn't be thrilled with them changing the name to Hulu to like Disney Plus, but at least, it would make more sense. But because they already had, Disney Plus and all that, and they're trying to acquire Hulu, I'm like, they spent like I think almost $10 billion on Hulu, and it's like it was worthless. They really didn't get anything out of it. I mean, they got some original shows, but I'm like, I think a lot of those were also deals that were like from other studios like Universal and all that. So they're probably going to take a lot of their content off there. I mean, they've already been doing it, Actually, Paramount, most of their shows are off of there. They're having a lot more stuff on Netflix than Hulu, because I think part of it too is Disney is just a hard company to work with. I mean, to be fair, in general, like Paramount, I've talked about Nickelodeon and all that. Like, people have had issues with Nickelodeon, and Warner Brothers can be like that too and all. But I feel like they're not as strict with some stuff. Like, I just think it's probably easier for them just to license their content out to like somewhere else that's not as stubborn with it, But I don't know. I just think it was worthless for them to buy. And apparently, it seems like that's kind of the case because they're like, I think they're kind of thinking that too, because they're actually laying off employees from Fox, ABC, News, or is it ABC Family or just ABC News? I think it might be ABC in general. And then they're also laying off people from Hulu as well. So Fox, Hulu, and ABC, which, by the way, are all three things they acquired, so they don't actually own it. They're like, laying off people. I think Hulu is probably going to be gone. I think they're probably going to merge it with Disney Plus. It would be better if they would just fucking sell it, because they really need the money and they don't really need Hulu. They could sell it to like Nintendo or something. I mean, Nintendo, or like they could sell it to Microsoft. I don't know if Microsoft has a streaming platform, but they could sell it to, because video game companies are starting to make their own content again, so they could probably sell it to them or something. That's the thing though. They just don't really need Hulu, and that's the problem. They're gonna just merge it together, and I'm like, that's not gonna help. That's just gonna just merging it with the platform. You're basically gonna lose all that money you spent on it, and whatever subscribers are remaining on the platform. So it's like, that's just going to make it worse for them, like where they could just sell it off. They need to sell Fox too. They don't need Fox. Like, I think they could keep the X-Men and Deadpool and all that, I know people are not going to probably be happy with Deadpool, because I know Deadpool, the last movie they made was actually not too bad. Like, it actually was really good. But that's the problem, though. Like, I feel like with Disney owning Deadpool, I think they're going to try to make it more for younger audiences, which it beats the whole point of the movies. I don't know about the comics. I don't really know about the comics, but I do know the movies are definitely not for kids. Like, I wouldn't even say, well, I mean, PG-13 maybe, like, they don't have, like, I don't think they have a lot of nudity and all that in the movies, but still, I mean, to be fair, I mean, around that time, I know a lot of, people had, like, girlfriends on, like, middle school and high school anyway, but, you know how it works, PG-13 and all that, and 18 or older stuff, but, yeah, I don't know, it definitely was not for kids, we'll just say that, and, Disney, I feel like they're gonna try to ruin that, but, like, that's the thing, though, like, I mean, that's the thing, that's kind of really, I feel like, why they acquired Fox. Well, that, and they wanted to expand their library, because again, Disney, again, like I said before, is trying to become the next empire. They're trying to go out there and own everything, that's why they bought Fox, because they were going to buy, Warner Brothers. I talked about that, they were going to buy it, but then, AT&T beat them to it. So then they decided to buy Fox, and, that was definitely not a smart idea. I mean, even without the bidding war, spending like, I mean, it wouldn't probably have hurt them this bad, but they bid on by they I mean Bob Iger was bidding with Comcast and all that on like Fox and all, and it went from like 40-something billion to like 70-something billion. But that's still like 40 billion is still freaking expensive. That's still expensive for like, all that content. I mean, that's a lot of content, but a lot of it, like I've said, it was ran into the ground and all that, but it wouldn't have been as bad. But because they spent $71 billion on Fox, that's the problem. And like I said, a lot of the crap they've acquired, it was franchises that were ran into the ground where they acquired, like, they got Family Guy and The Simpsons. Both shows have, declined. I heard The Simpsons has gotten a bit better, but like Family Guy definitely has not. Like I actually watch Family Guy more than The Simpsons, so I know that. But Family Guy, there's like a few decent episodes, but the show definitely has declined. Like, they don't have any cutaway gags really in the show anymore either. And like, the whole point of the show was their cutaway gags. That's what made Family Guy, and they just don't have that anymore. And then I said it had like a bunch of like movies like Home Alone and all that, and that's not really doing any good. It's not really good and all that. And then like, because they kind of milked that franchise to death too. They even tried to make a 6-1 that didn't do good. I mean, they had Blue Sky Studios. That was probably a good thing they acquired when they got Fox, but they shut that down. It's gone. And they shut Blue Sky down, and as I said, they basically didn't get a whole lot buying Fox. They got like some good stuff, but like not really enough to where it was worth it, and that's kind of the problem. And I especially hate how a lot of their damn movies from Fox don't use the 20th Century Fox logo, or even the studios. They rebranded it to 20th Century Studios. A lot of them use the Disney logo now. And I feel like that's just a big fuck you to the audience, because they're just like they put their damn name on everything they acquire anymore. And that's the thing though. Back in the day though, I will say this. I want to bring this up. I talked about this before, but back in the day, Disney actually used to have different logos for their stuff, so it didn't feel like some of their stuff they had, like when they bought out Doug, they had their own intro in there and all that. But so when Doug had its own movie and all that, it had the logo in it and all that. But like Touchstone Pictures and all that, which I guess technically wasn't something they acquired, but still they didn't have the Disney logo and all that. But later when Iger came along, they started using the logo in that and all that, and that's the thing there. Even Pixar, like, as you guys see this one right here, Pixar used to have their own logo too. And a lot of people are like trying to, like, a lot of the same people, well, not as many people as I thought, but like there are people on these kind of videos, I read the comments and I see some people saying like that I'm like, I like the new logo and all that. And I mean, the new logo isn't bad. Like, I will say I don't care for it as much as there are others. Well, by the new one, I mean the 2006 one. I actually really like the new one. My only problem with it is I don't like how they don't have Walt in pictures in the title. So because it's in widescreen and all that. Actually, I think that the 2006 one, I think, was it in widescreen at first? I don't remember. But it looks because the imagery is like so zoomed out, and the logo is so small. It doesn't fill the screen very well, and I feel like that's kind of where I'm like they should just they should have brought back Walt Disney's logo anyway. They should have never got rid of it, but I'm like, yeah, you can kind of tell it's a little bit different, like it is kind of, it's kind of small and like a little too small, too simple and all that, but I don't know. But that's the thing though, this logo I'm showing off here is kind of like that, but Yeah, I was trying to find something I wanted to have something on my card for you guys, and I'm kind of, because I've been talking about this stuff so much, I kind of ran out of things to kind of talk about when it comes to Disney laying off people and all that. But I don't know, I'm probably going to experiment with this stuff in the future, but I don't really talk about this stuff much anymore. But I just kind of wanted to talk about this stuff because I'm like, again, it's just like it's really weird, again, how they're firing people, not from the company as much as their other properties. Like, I've been noticing that. Like, even Pixar, like, they freaking cut like a good chunk of Pixar employees and all that, which was not a very smart idea because Pixar is kind of been falling downhill because of that. To be fair, their last few movies have not been the greatest, but Inside Out 2 wasn't bad. Inside Out 2 was actually really good. I mean, their movies were not like that bad. Like, I've seen them. I did reviews on them. There was Lightyear and Elemental were not that great, and I guess I will say like Onward was not the best either. But I really liked Luca. I really liked Soul and all that. But I will say a lot of them were not like, they didn't feel like as good as like a lot of the older movies. But I really did like these movies, and that's kind of the thing. But now that they're getting rid of their employees and all that, and especially I think they're replacing a lot of the crap with AI. I'm like, because they have to have somebody program the AI. I'm like, you're basically not only taking creativity away from people and costing them jobs, but you're also like, you're taking away something that people you're basically going to have the AI, you got to program the AI, and the AI is just going to be like, it's going to make shitty movies because you won't have the employees that are to bitch about it, about not getting paid enough, because I'm sure I think they underpay their staff all the time. I've heard about that, and then like, either that or they'll either like bitch about that, or like or they'll talk about how like they don't like that they're changing a bunch of these movies up, and all that, because they've done that too. I think even like even Wish, the movie Wish, I think I've heard that they changed a lot of that up too. And I think the creators, I don't think, are happy about that. That's the problem. They're gonna try to replace it with AI, but I'm like, that's only going to do so much. And I'm just like, when I think about them doing this, not just them, like, companies in general, like, they're going to replace them with AI. I'm like, it just feels kind of like, remember what WALL-E, did? Remember that movie? It was a Pixar movie, remember? The whole purpose of that movie was to show that, like, that humans kind of need to be, involved with stuff and all that, and, like, you can't really experience a lot of stuff that's the same way you can physically, it's like swimming and all that, so like, you have to have you can't have technology be doing everything. Now, it's okay to do some of it, but it kind of feels like they're just trying to like replace people with technology, which, was the whole point of that message, in the movie WALL-E. And it's not only them, like other stuff, other, shows and all that have done that too, like they showed how technology can be very bad, and it feels like that's kind of where we're going, But I don't know. But I'm not very happy that they're doing this shit. They're like costing people jobs and all. And I said Iger is just in there collecting the fucking money and all that while these poor people lose their jobs. Now, not everybody who was laid off. I think there are some people that were causing problems, but a good chunk of them are just trying to get their paycheck so they can fucking afford to live somewhere and all that. And then you got people like Iger out here, collecting money and all that, and acquiring shit they don't need, and it just becomes a problem. It becomes a huge financial problem for the company, and that's the thing though. And you also have they have a very expensive building they built in freaking New York, and Iger actually took a lot of fucking money out of the company when he was so. So I haven't brought this up in a while, but so when Iger retired for the first time, or supposedly retired, because I think it's because I've heard some stories about that he never actually completely left. Like he still had like, like he left the company, but I think he still had, like says on what can and cannot happen, and all that. But Iger acquired this damn like sports team and all that, and apparently he overspent a bunch on it because he fucking borrowed stock from, he sold a bunch of, Disney stock to fucking like pay for it, and I'm like, you could be using this damn money to fucking like fix the damn company up, and I guess to be fair, you could say, well, that happened, when he was retired and all that, but I'm just like, I'm like, he does this shit all the time. Like he said, he does not fucking care. He acts like he cares, but he does not care. If he fucking cared about the company, he wouldn't be doing this shit, That's the thing, though. He keeps acquiring more shit. That's what the problem was with Disney Plus. See, I was talking about how, they're spending a bunch of money on it. Clearly, Disney Plus isn't doing as well as they think. Because that's the thing, though. Their numbers are up a lot. But somehow they're up a lot, but people are unsubscribing to their platform. I've seen videos on it. I've seen people comments on it and all that. And then not only that, but they're also like, so they also, like I said, acquired Hulu, which I guess that was a deal they already had in works. But then they acquired they acquired another streaming service too, which was, I think it was I forgot. I don't remember. It started with an R. It wasn't Roku. That's a TV brand. I can't remember what it was. But they acquired it and all that. And I mean, they don't own all of it, but they own a bunch of it. I made a video talking about it, but I'm like, if their streaming platform was doing so well, they wouldn't be so damn desperate to be doing this. Plus, they're fucking offering a bunch of deals, like very cheap deals. Like, apparently my mom actually got Disney Plus and Hulu for like, I think like $3 a month. Or like, for the entire year, for like, Black Friday. And I'm like, that's kind of the problem. Like with Netflix, I think that's why Netflix was raising their prices too, because they couldn't really make money off of $6.99 a month, which is true, I guess probably why they also left it to do their own thing too. Like I talked about that. All these studios left because they needed to make money, and the Netflix was too cheap and all that, so the employees couldn't make money, And the thing is though, people, don't want to be spending all this money on this stuff. That's why they, cut like, Dish and other cable networks and all that. Well, I guess technically Dish, like I said before, was satellite TV. But they cut all that stuff off because, well, they cut the stuff because, well, they knew, because it was so expensive, and Netflix was cheaper and all. But, I mean, even like $22 is I mean, it may seem like a lot, but like, I mean, if everything was on the platform, it probably wouldn't be so bad. But because there's so much other stuff, it's ridiculous, But I mean, yeah, $22 is definitely a lot. But like I said, I think they were kind of forced to raise their prices as well because they can't really afford like to keep the platform and all that, going with just $6.99 dollars. And all that. And I've talked to people before. I told them that eventually they're going to like raise their prices. They're gonna eliminate the competition, and they're gonna eventually their prices are gonna skyrocket. And that's exactly what happened. That's what happened. They went from like I said $6.99 to like over $22. I think they're even higher than that now a little bit, but they're still cheaper than like cable and all that. But that's the thing though, it's like they have to keep money to like, or make money to keep their platform going. But having people pay like $75 like Dish and all that does, that's not good. Like I can understand why people be mad about that, but I don't know. But that's kind of the thing, too, I said with Disney Plus, offering all these deals, too, it's like not helping. They need to just shut their damn platform. They need to shut it down and just fucking move their content somewhere else. Like, move it to, like, you can move it to Peacock or something, because Peacock is kind of like with Comcast, which Comcast is also a cable company, so they can move their stuff to there and all that, or like, if they don't want to compete, if they don't want to work with their competitors with that, because, they're already competitors anyway. They could work with Netflix again. I don't know. I just they could do a whole much more stuff with that. But instead, he said Iger wants to wants to lay people off, put people out of a job, just to keep spinning shit like crazy at the company and all that, which is not working too well for him. It's actually causing more problems than anything. I don't know. I just don't really talk about this much anymore because I'm getting kind of sick of talking about it. But I had some stuff to say about this one. But I have not really. I've seen people on there talking about Star Wars or Marvel or something, and talking about some complaints or even DC Comics and all. I see people talking about that, but I'm just I don't know. I don't really. There's not really anything I have to say about a lot of this stuff, so I just don't really talk about it. But this one just again shows you that they're really struggling and all that. And people were telling me that Disney was fine and all. I'm they're not fine if they're laying off all these damn employees. They're not really fine. Plus they're offering very, very, very cheap deals. There's deals and then there are cheap deals. And I've been to places before that, before they went out of business, I've been to some places before that have, offered some deals, and then they close them down. So when you go to, a store or something, they'll sometimes offer deals, or a lot of times they'll mark everything pretty much down, and then they'll just close it all, they'll close the stores down, so you can kind of tell if something's not doing well or not, but even if the company will not admit it, that can be the case. That's kind of what I feel like is happening here. But I wish they could get back on track. But honestly, like I told you guys, I think I've lost faith in Disney. Disney is just, I think they're too far gone. They would have to sell the entire company or do what they did with Michael Eisner, just fucking oust Iger and fire him and and just hire somebody new and all that, But I don't think they're gonna do that because I think Iger is just gonna keep control. He's talking about leaving next year, but like I talked about before, I figured he was gonna do that. To be fair though, I guess technically that's when his contract was extended for I think 2 more years, but it was extended for 2 more years, but Iger, Iger, has been doing that, nonstop, and to be fair though, with the whole, I feel like it's funny he's now been announcing this, when he starts announcing, it's I definitely don't think Iger likes Trump at all either. I don't think there's talk that he was wanting to run for president and all, you want to, a lot of people don't really like Trump. I voted for the guy, and I don't really care for him too much either. I don't really care for either Republican or Democrat, parties. I just voted because I'm kind of I voted to get my dad off my back, but honestly, I kind of also was just fed up with the crap we were dealing with food and other stuff going up constantly. And the food and stuff has been going down. It has been going down, which I figured it was going to. But because people are bitching about Trump, this crap gonna cause things to skyrocket. But I'm have you guys been shopping at the stores in the last 4 years? Because I talked about cereal and all that was going up, and it was almost at $8 a box, for a while there. Now it's going to $5, so it's going down. But I guess to be fair though, there was also COVID and all, so maybe people just didn't pay much attention to it. But I don't know. But like I said, I have talked about it before too. I don't care how people vote. I really don't care, but I'm just saying, that's kind of what I feel like is Iger probably, it's like when COVID started, like, when COVID actually, first hit, like basically in February, we were hearing it was spreading and all, and that's when Iger, out of nowhere, announced Chapek being the next CEO. Like, I think Iger knew that I think COVID was going to be very bad, and he didn't want to put up with it, because, like I said, Iger doesn't really care about anybody but himself, pretty much, so... But he did go to the he did go to the White House to talk to Trump. But I thought like he only did that because I said Trump was probably going to sue him and all, and for like what happened and all that. So I don't know. But like I said, I don't think anything's going to change with this stuff. I feel like Disney's just going to keep losing money and all that. The only way they're going to change is if they either sell their stuff off or sell the entire company off for that matter and just hire like new people, to be like, to work for the company, because that's going to be better, but I don't know. But I'm going to go ahead and let things go from here, because I have an appointment today, so I got to get ready and all that, but yeah, I'm actually sitting down doing a video anyway, because I'm taking a shower and I'm starting to feel kind of a little dizzy again from my medication. So, I'll see you all later. Bye-bye.